Let them go, minefield.
Oopsie, still broken, yeah?
My bad. But at least I fixed the GPS.
Rocket Pack Jack and the Babylon Virus is a Christian superhero spy movie for kids, so you know it's good. It's not. So there's this super secret spy organization called D3, which consists of this one adult and a bunch of children doing very important jobs that children should never be asked to do, and the world's greatest secret agent, Rocket Pack Jack. And then there's D3's enemy, the Spectre to its MI6, the Hydra to its SHIELD, the Cobra to its G.I. Joe, if you will, Carnivore, which consists of this guy with a bad German accent and a retro USB microphone, his supervisor, who is constantly Skyping in to pester him about, I don't know, why he hasn't taken over the world yet or something, and a couple of evil robots who are bad at everything. On second thought, that's not fair to the evil robots, because every character in the film is bad at everything, especially the supposed hero. We meet a superhero secret agent Rocket Pack Jack as he arrives at D3's evil robot factory. That's not me being catty, by the way. It's referred to as such in the movie. Jack's been dispatched to obtain the source code for a dangerous MacGuffin called the Babylon virus, which he does by walking up to a computer and letting his onboard computer do all the work, which it does while making painfully unfunny wisecracks. You know the funny guy at church? The funny guy who has no comedic point of view and never gets within a million miles of saying anything that's actually funny, but he's just kind of zany in a bland, pathologically inoffensive kind of way? That's Jack's talking computer. Oh yeah, the computer's name is Larry. Isn't that funny? Larry! He's a computer! Anyway, Rocket Pack Jack gets caught and runs away. His rocket pack is damaged, and he crashes on top of a parking garage. Meanwhile, there's this kid named Trit. Yes, Trit, which Urban Dictionary informs me is an Old English name derived from York. It was commonly used for a male who has very acceptable traits. And furthermore, most women look for men like Truits. Truits are rare and very talented in many different things. And finally, they also usually have very large dicks and are really good in relationships. Trust me, this is more interesting than anything in the movie. Thank you, author of that Urban Dictionary entry, who I can only assume is named Truitt and was expelling a lifetime of frustration and humiliation into those few sentences. We are grateful for your service, and we are sorry. Truitt is a bad kid because he's disobedient. Christians of the sort who made this film hate disobedience. Truitt's mother literally says to him, in their first scene, that when someone in authority tells you something, you do as told. Instilling unthinking obedience in children is important, you see, because children who question authority grow up into adults who question authority, and that would be bad, I guess? I mean, if you're promoting an authoritarian form of religion, I suppose you might see it that way, so I can't stress enough that do what people in authority tell you is the entire lesson Truitt, and by extension the children in this film's target audience, are meant to learn. I get that it's important for kids to learn to listen to their parents and their teachers and other authority figures. It teaches respect and it keeps them safe, but there's usually some underlying justification attached, right? By the time the kid is Truitt's age? Listen to your mother because she loves you and she knows better than you? Just like someday you'll want your kids to listen to you because you'll know better than them? Or something? Anything beyond obey authority would be good. Truitt's disobedience manifests itself through his irresistible compulsion to chuck water balloons at people. He does it out the car window moments after his mom tells him he's grounded, and later we see him sneaking out of the house to do it again. The poor kid can't help himself. He's a servant to his addiction. I don't mean to excuse his behavior, but maybe acting out like this is the only way he knows to deal with having been brought into this world by parents who made the willful decision to name him Truitt. So he's out trolling for another water balloon victim, and he sees Rocket Pack Jack crash into that parking garage. He runs up to the roof just in time to see Jack confronted by two evil robots and just kind of standing there. And the robots do something that's supposed to be funny, but it just plays as forced wackiness. Jack stands there some more, listening to the villain chatter at him through the robots. Then Jack does the old duck out of the way and let the robots shoot each other spot that you've seen 1,000 times if you're a pro wrestling fan. Okay, maybe not literally with robots shooting each other, unless you're watching Chikara. Jack and Truett escape into the parking garage. They're pursued by this other evil robot, which Jack takes out with an EMP weapon we didn't even know he had. Larry the talking computer makes a homophobic joke at Truett's expense.
Yes, we did it!
We did it? I believe you were hiding in the corner, Nancy.
You stay classy, Larry the talking robot in a kid's movie. Then, while the evil killer robot is rebooting a few feet away, Jack takes off his helmet and he's like, "Hey, Truett, do you know who Jesus is?" And Truett is like, "Isn't he the guy who invented Christmas?" Which is incorrect, but a really great answer. And Jack goes, "No, Jesus healed the sick and raised the dead and did all that Jesus stuff. And he was awesome. It's really a shame you don't believe in him because it's so important I felt I had to drop everything and start proselytizing at you while there's a killer robot standing right over there." And then Jack is like, "You see this disc that I took from the evil robot factory? This disc will allow us to keep bothering people all over the world about Jesus, whether they seem interested or not. It's incredibly important that this disc get back to D3, which is why I, the world's greatest secret agent, am giving it to you, a kid I just met who doesn't even know who Jesus is, instead of taking it back myself. Okay, now get going. Hope you and your family don't get killed by the supervillains I just needlessly made you a target of. I'm just going to remain here with my back to the powering up killer robot. Go with God." Long story short, Truett takes the disc to this other kid, Carl, who he previously threw a water balloon at. Oh, irony. Carl is an agent of D3. They run off to help Rocket Pack Jack, who is in the sewers for some reason. The robots find them and capture them. Jack tries the Jesus pitch on Truett again, and this time Truett goes for it. Some other children employed by the heroic spy agency show up to rescue them. Everybody escapes except Jack, who goes back to get the disc that the bad guy took after they were captured. Jack is immediately captured again. The leader of D3 is like, "We're going to tell people about Jesus. And also, we'll never give up on finding Jack because he's one of us and we leave no one behind, but mostly Jesus." And then the movie's over. There's a mid-credit scene and a post-credit scene, both of which are pointless and accomplish nothing except presenting the most delusionally optimistic sequel tease since Skeletor popped out of the water at the end of Masters of the Universe. And that's it. To quote Tom Servo, "This film has certain flaws. The acting is wooden and terrible. The budget, what there was of it, seems to have been spent mostly on renting a Red camera and purchasing an After Effects license. There is no third act. There just isn't one. But I want to focus on my two biggest problems with Rocket Pack Jack, and the first of those is Rocket Pack Jack himself. We're told over and over that Jack is this great hero, the best agent in the world, but what do we actually see him do in the movie? He sneaks into an enemy installation, then stands around while Larry the computer does all the work. He gets shot down while fleeing. He doesn't seem particularly resourceful or quick-witted. He doesn't seem to have any fighting skills or athletic prowess to speak of. He gets captured by the villain twice during this less than 1 hour long film, and is still captured when it ends. You know how pretty much every superhero eventually has that story where they lose their special abilities or their gadgets and they have to defeat the villain without relying on their usual advantages? And the point of the story is that it's not Wonder Woman's powers that make her super, it's her heart and her sense of justice. It's not the Iron Man suit that makes Tony Stark a hero, it's his intellect, courage, and moose-like capacity for imbibing alcohol. It's not what they can do, it's who they are that makes them heroic. Okay, well this movie is the exact opposite of that. Rocket Pack Jack ain't shit without his rocket pack, which doesn't even work for most of the film. We see him do almost nothing other than fail, and the few momentary victories he does achieve are due to him pushing a button or employing some fancy gadget. He's not smart, he's not brave, he's not tough. He's not a wimp or a coward or an ignoramus either, exactly. He's not really anything. He's just an unremarkable guy in a costume who other people seem way too impressed by. Like the Pope. Only the Pope is smarter. And oddly enough, way less pushy about the Jesus stuff. That's the other big problem I wanted to mention, the Jesus stuff. Not the fact that it's there. This is a Christian movie. Of course there's going to be some Jesus stuff. And as an atheist, I'm definitely not the target audience for that. I know an evangelist might try to argue that movies like this are powerful tools for winning unbelievers to Christ, but I have long believed their primary value to the church is in reassuring those people already in the pews, especially the young, impressionable ones, that they're playing for the right team. The thing is, typically movies like this make some effort to justify the presence of the Jesus stuff in the story. It's almost always contrived and clunky, but the evidence of the attempt is there. Not the case with this movie. This is a half-baked, off-brand Spy Kids, where every once in a while, apropos of nothing, a character will just start monologuing about Jesus. It seems like the villain has some sort of a plan to use a computer virus to rewrite digital copies of the Bible, but even that turns out not to be the case. The Babylon virus does rewrite online texts of the Bible, but it also rewrites every other document it encounters, which, granted, is a much better supervillain plan, but feels very off-theme for an evangelical movie. The overtly Christian elements of the film don't feel tacked on so much as scribbled onto a post-it and indifferently slapped across random scenes. That doesn't mean this isn't immediately recognizable as an evangelical Christian film. There are hallmarks of the genre other than pervasive Jesus stuff. The strongest of these indicators present in Rocket Pack Jack is the uncanny quality shared by many works which are created to be Christian versions of something popular in mainstream culture. That quality of pretending to be something but not quite nailing the imitation. I said earlier that this is a superhero movie, but that's not precisely true. It's a Christian evangelical movie in the form of a superhero movie. And that form is imperfect because the people who made this movie don't understand what makes good superhero movies work. They know the tropes, they know the formulaic story beats, but they don't grasp their purpose or their meaning. That's also why the attempts at humor uniformly fall flat. The creators of the film can make something that has the superficial appearance of a joke, even something of the rhythm of a joke, but they can't comprehend how to make the joke they're trying to tell funny. The effect is comparable to hearing someone recite a sentence they learn to pronounce phonetically in a language they don't actually speak. So with all that being said, the question, as always, is why did I watch Rocket Pack Jack and the Babylon virus? A funny story. Wednesday, the day I'm posting this video, is also the day when I post my Star Trek-related videos, when I've made one. I've posted Star Trek videos for the last 6 Wednesdays, and I wanted to take a break from making Star Trek videos because I hate money. So I figured I'd make another one of these Why Did I Watch This videos. But I didn't want the transition to be too abrupt, so I thought to myself, what if I look for a Christian ripoff of Star Trek? That might be fun. In a way. And I didn't find one, but I did find something that seemed like a Christian ripoff of Star Wars. It's called The Shadowlands, and it stars Gary Busey as the evil ruler of an alien planet. Doesn't that sound like the worst thing ever? Only one problem, I can't find a copy of it anywhere. It was produced in 2003, but apparently was never released on DVD or any other form of home video. It's not streaming anywhere. I couldn't even find a copy of it on torrent sites. The only evidence that it actually exists is the trailer, which you can find on YouTube and Vimeo. I would love to have watched and reviewed The Shadowlands, but it's nowhere. So I had to settle for Rocket Pack Jack. And I think you'll agree that we're all so much the poorer.